Hello, 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 hello. Hello. Hi. So I didn't show the judge. Okay. I didn't go live when I separated the cards out into 4 and then 8 piles, but I'm going live now that I'm putting them together. What does that mean? I don't know. Sometimes I feel like the separation or the coming together is a part of the video. Um, Sometimes it's not. And today, I guess it wasn't, but it was, but it wasn't. Anyway, I'm going to be using the Mystical Mondays today because of the double mirror that kind of sort of came out for, yes, the last time I was live, where it was like Venus had gone so far in, or some energy had basically inverted upon itself and came out as it came out whole, but it came out whole because it had integrated its other part. And it had integrated its other part, Gnosis and the Mystic. It's interesting that Gnosis is here with the Mystic because the Mystic came out for when it was Mars, for the masculine that was giving birth. It was something that the Mystic would understand, but the shaman wouldn't because of the shaman's connection to the natural world. And it was something that's unsustainable. Unsustainable by the natural world, possibly meaning that it has to be sustained within the self and by the self. And then here's the Mystic again when we're talking about now the feminine, female, other aspect is doing the same. So that's interesting. But I'm combining them. I've mixed it all up. So they're no longer separated by archetypes of self or environment or thing. Oh, the hunter, the sustainer, and the one. That's interesting. The hunter is 9, the sustainer is 24. Today is the 24th. And the one is 30. All 3 archetypes of self. The bottom of the deck is the shaman, number 16. Interesting. The nectar, arrows, and the shapeshifter. The shapeshifter reveals the temple and the womb. Though he got stuck as a female horse because he got pregnant. Anyway, so today, 4/24/24, this week is a palindrome week in U.S. What is it? Month, day, year, shorthand. So 4/20 whatever 24 backwards is going to be 4/20 whatever 24. So then I was like, oh, with the double mirror, maybe that's like a little something. We're not going to have another week of them until what, next year, when it's 5/20 something 25, and then it'll be 6/20 something 26, 7/20 something 27, 8/20 something 28, 9/20 something 29, and then in 30s that'll be what, March, any palindrome day in March. So it'll be like, no, because that's 03. So it could be what, the first week, 3, no, because there's a 2, 3/20 23, 3/20/23. No, that's third. Anyway, that's not even 2023. That's 2030. I don't know, my brain. 303030. I don't know. Anyway. It's this week this year. So it proceeds by a month. Last time it would have been what? The 4 teens? 14? So 4, 11, 14, 4, 12. Okay, it's fine. All right, let's get into this. I'm hungry. And I ate. The Queen. The Queen and the Shapeshifter. Okay. Did I not? I put these back in the deck and I didn't even flip them over. Well, they're flipped over now. It was the stone, the medallion, and the dead end. Now, we've seen the medallion recently. It came out, and I feel like I connected it to the bestower in terms of like we never saw what Mazzy, the true sword paladin, got when she overcame those challenges. We saw that she learned how to banish things when she emerged from the under city. And the medallion was some kind of prize. The stone has its story in it being something that was discarded, something that was not seen as valuable. Oh, that's interesting. Because now the stone has a new context. A very, not necessarily super similar, but it is, the stone was valuable. The person who presented the stone, someone presents the stone to someone of nobility, some kind of royalty, both in the metaphor and in where I saw it recently. And they knew the stone was valuable, but the royalty didn't know that the stone was valuable. One is a story of dedication because they kept giving and presenting them the stone, punished until the only thing left that they could have lost was their life. And then it was like, okay, let's see what the stone was about. And then the other one, oh, that's interesting because that's a little synchronicity too. Anyway, the other one was more like Disney. A stone was presented to someone who didn't receive it. There was a curse that was placed on the town. They blamed the king, queen, whoever. And then the child of the king, queen, whoever goes on a journey and they unbreak the curse. They break the curse. You can't, well, I guess you can unbreak a curse, but they break the curse. And then the dead end is interesting. The dead end isn't often a dead end. No, okay. Sometimes the dead end isn't a dead end. So I guess that would make sense. If someone were to realize the value of that stone, then the dead end wouldn't be a dead end because it would open up. It's almost like the stone is a key, but it's a key that isn't easily identified as such. Justice in reverse. Is the whole deck in reverse? I got reversals. We're turning them upright. Justice in reverse, Ace of Pentacles in reverse, Ten of Cups in reverse. The Magician upright, Queen of Cups in reverse, and the Moon upright. Temperance upright. And then the Four of Cups is upright. Okay. Let me put these all upright. I haven't used the Mystical Mondays in a hot minute because the deck is incomplete. I don't remember which cards are missing because every time I think I've identified the card that's missing, I see the card. Like I thought it was the Knight of Cups or the Knight of Pentacles, but then I saw it. Probably this Knight of Cups. I thought it was that Knight of Cups. But there's more than one way to get a message across when it comes to cards. So we're just going to trust and believe this is the double mirror of judgment. So when it first came out, it's like one of these is a closer mirror and one of these is the further mirror or vice versa. It doesn't really matter. We look at when it was coming out, it was like we look at the interface between the internal and the external right behind the eyes. But we have to go much deeper, or when we go much deeper, when we go so far internal that we re-emerge to the external, we come to a different realization. One that is potentially deeper or more profound. But yeah, that's how it came out. And then also the Hermit. If we see the Hermit. Here's the Hermit. So this one is just like at the mirror. We don't know which. Because it's the Hermit and because it looks like she's inside, it could be that same. The one that's so far inside that it's outside again. And then we'll just see what's that. We'll see what comes out. I still haven't done a Taurus season thing. Maybe I won't. But yeah, I was thinking of an Oracle deck I could use with these. And for some reason, 10 of Wands, 10 of Cups. The archetypes is what I went for. This deck is very geometrical. Geometric? I don't have any like crystal decks. I saw the 2 of Cups, the Lovers, the 5 of Cups. This 5 of Cups is interesting because of yesterday. 3 of these cups face the sun, 2 of them face the darkness. It reminds me of that 7 of Cups in the modern known tarot. Like mystical was coming to my mind. I'm like, no, it's not mystical anything. Okay. So I had a thought to do all signs. I'm not going to do that. We'll just do in general. I'm going to we'll see what comes out first. See, I don't even know if I should go looking for before and after the Hermit and Judgment. Or if I should just see what comes out. Something just flipped over. The King of Wands. I've never noticed the cape on this King of Wands. It's like the first thing I noticed today. The King of Wands is like, look at that bicep. I'm sorry. I've never noticed that bicep either. It feels like the hand of the King of Wands is what's lighting up. It doesn't feel like it's the wand this time. Oh, he's got a sash too. No, that's not a sash. That's just the end of his shirt and the beginning of his shorts. Like that's the cape. That's the first thing I noticed today. I've never noticed his cape before. Bottom of the deck is the 5 of Wands. So and it was the 10 of Wands and the 10 of Cups. So in the Fable Makers, we saw the 5 of Wands, the 10 of Wands, some other cards. And in the 5 of Wands, it was like many different schools of magic. There was like psychic, fire, earth, water, and whatever the other ones are. Now in D&D, they're like conjuration, something that starts with an A. The rest. But since they're all connected here. This is a cross-sectional. What did I put behind it? The Princess of Wands. And the world is behind this Princess of Wands. There's some energy here about like where different schools or different types of magic meet or overlap. Because on one hand, it can be like the birth of a new type of magic. But on another hand, it's like from like an outward perspective, it could be the birth of some new kind of magic because it combines elements of multiple types. But on from an inward perspective, it's like it gets closer to the root of the source of magic or the truth of magic because it combines multiple. It's like before they differentiate, almost like how stem cells will differentiate. And then this Princess of Wands, her wand is lit at the top. So it's easier to not confuse the source of the light here. But she's like learning balance and she's using this rod to balance. So her using the rod to balance can be, I can read that in a way of what magic is and who the divine is and what the divine does for us when we need it for support, when we need the divine for support. Or while we are more, I want to say like, I don't want to say juvenile or immature. Yeah, while we're more juvenile, but not juvenile in a way that's like supposed to be derogatory. Juvenile in a way of like, we're like literally children. You know what I mean? Like being a literal child instead of like, because then it's just like it's a part of the process. When we're younger in whatever, then there are certain, like, that's like if you have a baby that can't walk and you're trying to teach the baby how, or you're helping the baby when the baby is learning how to walk, you may hold them like training wheels, basically. It's like training wheels when we need training wheels. So we can lean on and depend on the divine to be the light when we need it. But then there comes a point in time where we find like our own light. And then the world is here. For some reason, this is making me think of those 3 cards that came out. Not the stone, the medallion, and the dead end, but the other ones. When the shaman was at the bottom of the deck. I don't remember. The sustainer, the hunter, the sustainer, and the one. This makes me think of the hunter, the sustainer, and the one. Am I going to leave these here? Sure. Also, like, kind of notice how we have a combination of the colors and the 5 of Wands and the Princess of Wands and this King of Wands. Let's just get one of these. Now I feel like I should have used the Mystical Shaman Oracle cards. I'm going to grab the Mystical Shaman Oracle cards because I'm seeing like the Sorcerer or something like that. You know what I mean? Where are they though? Hold up. Oh yeah, I took the tree down. I know. My no procrastination breakthrough told me to take it down, so I took it down. Womp womp. Womp 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 womp. Ooh. Ooh, the upper world. Okay. Am I going to use both of these? I don't know. If I feel called to those, I'll do those. But for these in particular, medicine, will, and the circle. For these in particular, I want to use. I didn't even think about these. Mystic Mondays, Mystical Shaman. Hello. It was such a short leap. It was already there. Oh, and then the shaman came out like Mystical Shaman. I still didn't get it. Taming the Wind, number 55. Speaking of palindromes and mirrors, Kirsty! Hello, hello, hello. What? Oh, yes, okay. Okay. You said deforestation. I was like, oh my gosh. And then I was like, yeah, it's gone. I know. But it's safe. Um, it's on vacation until next winter. So, how are you? I've been all right. I've been. I feel like I've been good. I don't know how I've been. I've been. That's how I've been lately. I feel like I've been. You know what I mean? I'm doing more than just existing. It's like I do a little bit here, I do a little bit there. I do like things that I need to do, but then besides that, I'm just like playing games, catching up on anime. I'm enjoying my break. That's what I'll say. I'm enjoying my break. Thank you. And I am considering what I want to do and where I want to go in a way. Kind of sort of considering, kind of sort of like, let's just like, it's not that I'm like doing everything. Again, like, I don't know. I've been all right. How have you been? I feel like I thought about you the other day. I feel like I was like, I wonder how Kirsty's doing. It was probably at like 3 o'clock in the morning your time or something like that. But yeah. Who? Look how look my shirts just get so wet. My hair is a sponge. There we go. Oh, Taming the Wind. Okay. Taming the Wind and the Taming the Wind, the Drum and the Coyote is at the and then the Medicine Wheel. The drum is 15, the coyote is number 12. See, for some reason the coyote and the drum is giving me the energy of that stone. And how it's something valuable, it's something important, it's something that is key, that is instrumental. But it's not seen for what it is. Or it's not seen for the truth of its potential. It's not seen for its greater potential. Our view and our perspective is limited. And that's why the coyote is here, because it's not what it seems. Like the drum is more than just the drum. Oh. See, but that makes me think of the King of Wands. Something about the King of Wands, I'm not going to say it's strategic. I will say, though, that it is something is like easily misconceivable. It's so easy to make associations that are incorrect when it comes to whatever this King of Wands is because of where his hand is placed on the rod. Is it his hand or is it the wand? Virgo. It was Virgo's Lafruma when I like printed the Lafruma, like those tiny little cards, and I like drew the runes on them. It was the one that Virgo had. And it was like, because Virgo was doing something magical or supernatural or otherworldly. And it seemed like it was the tool or the instrument that Virgo was using, but the magic didn't lie within the instrument. The magic lied within Virgo. Like Virgo is magic, and it was the needle specifically. Virgo was magic. It wasn't the needle that was magic. The needle was an ordinary, regular needle. And I say that because it's almost like it's the bird in the drum that is the true source of whatever. It's not the drum. Like the drum is just the tool. And then we see like taming the wind. A person that looks very similar, well, similar enough to the person in the drum. Okay. The medicine wheel is number 35, 35, 35, 35, 35, 35. Oh, I'll text you real quick. It's 4:55 where I am. Good evening, Kirsty. There you go. Oh, look, there's a bird in Taming the Wind. There's a bird right there. It's almost like cloudy. It's almost obscured. Not necessarily, but almost. Interesting. Oh, that's 3. 1, 2, 3. I'm not getting 4 of these, but I will get one of these. The world of the medicine wheel. And then the wind and the ace of wands. I kind of love this. And then the circle and the 6 of swords. Okay. So the world of the medicine wheel, these feel similar. But it's almost as if every circle, because there's 4 circles and then the orb of light in the middle, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, there's 4 circles and then the source of the light in the middle. So the 4 animals in the medicine wheel all have their own circle. Like they have their complete wheel instead of them being parts, pieces, sections, and fragments of one wheel. And again, almost like this 5 of wands, there's something about an overlap. This is also giving me it's Chinese. Well, it's not just Chinese. There are 4 pillars and something, or is it 8 pillars? Girl, I don't know. I don't know, don't know, don't know, don't know. No, no. Wait, what? One second. I'll reply. she's recording. I'll tell her in a minute. Whatever I was saying. Yeah, it's like they're all running simultaneously, or it's finding this point where they all sort of align and connect and overlap. That reveals this. Now it's the King of Wands. Like that's the source of light. So that's how the King of Wands has found his inner light. It's interesting that in this deck in particular, it comes through in the King of Wands because usually we see it in the Queen of Wands, where the sunflowers look to her as if she is their source of light instead of the sun. But we're finding it on the King of Wands here. Also, we did just see, and this could literally be that because it started with the feminine. The feminine energy of Taurus that had went so far internally that it had integrated its Libran masculine mirrored parallel aspects and emerged as a whole Venus. And it starts with the Princess of Wands and it ends with the King of Swords. This does in particular. Starts learning as the princess, emerges as the king. Now, a lot of times kings will sit as like the mastery of something. So in that aspect, it's less surprising. But yeah, that would be something that he has mastered within himself that allows him to be shiny. And he's not a Twilight vampire. You know what I mean? He doesn't have to like bleed other things dry to be sparkly, regardless if they're like deer or rabbits or people. Now, what's interesting is that under the medicine wheel in the world, see, this is also, again, it plays back into the hunter, the sustainer, and the one with the shaman at the bottom of the deck. Again, it plays into like how the natural world is sustained. It's almost like these are the things that are, it's like there are ways to utilize resources that are available to us. That would be a utilization of those resources. If it aligns with the natural world, the sustainer and the shaman. When it comes to anything beyond that, it falls on us. According to these cards, we are what sustains and powers it. We are what sustains and powers those things. Now, behind these two was the wind, and that's why I was like, oh, haha, lol. The wind, because again, taming the wind is the card that came out. And then here's the wind. And the wind, guess what card was at the bottom of the Mystical Mondays when the wind came out? It was the Ace of Wands. The wind and the Ace of Wands. Taming the wind on this side, and then emerging as this King of Wands on the other. And these are the cards that came out. Taming the Wind came out. The King of Wands came out. The other cards were at the bottom of the deck. Cool. Now, this bird looks closer to the drum than the bird in Taming the Wind does. The bird and the wind, and they're facing in the same direction. Excuse me, but again, that could just be like, it's almost like a extracurricular type of stuff. It's like if someone or something has a responsibility to provide the basic needs or the basic whatever. And it's like you can have extra if you want it, but like extra is not included. Anything extra, you would have to find your own means of whatever. I still want to get one of these. The shaman at the bottom of the deck. Okay. Again, they're combined. They're not completely separated into the different archetypes. LOL. LOL. I'm looking to see if anything flipped over because I felt like it could have, but it doesn't look like anything did. So if you saw when I was originally, it was like years ago at this point, I'm pretty sure. If you saw the stone when I was originally, when I was like telling the full story, like when it first came out, and then like the next few times, and I ran through like the whole thing. The stone was the gem. The one card that just flipped over is the gem. This is what the stone really is, but that's not what it was seen as. Even in the other story, like that stone was a gem. And so for the gem to come out is interesting. Now, this is number 56. And 55 was Taming the Wind. I don't think there's 65 cards. And we have this gem. I'm going to look before and after 65. I'm pretty sure the Mystical Shaman doesn't go that high. So I'm going to look before and after here. 65 is LXV. Okay. Because the theme today is mirrors. Well, I'm just like curious. You know what I mean? I'm just curious. Or I could look for the 56 over here. I'm already looking. It's fine. Now, both of these are going to be things. $55 is the vision. By the way, the 55 for the Taming of the Wind is the vision. The vision is in between the temple and the vessel. That's interesting. The vision in between the temple and the vessel? Wow. Wow. I'm seeing 67, 64. LXVI. That's 66. I need 65. LXV, please. LXV. 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 XLV. Almost. That's 45. I could have passed it. I mean, I'm not all the way through the cards yet. A lot of the cards have been at the very tippy top of the deck lately. Here it is. Goodness. LXV. It's in between the poet and the father. Of course. And look, there's the shaman. The shaman was next, right? Yeah, because I'm pulling the shaman, Eros, and the mother. The father, the shaman, Eros, and the mother. Between the father and the mother is the shaman and Eros. That's a setup. It's like Eros has disguised itself as the shaman and it's matchmaking. So 50, 65. 56 is the gem, 65 is the prayer. And then we have the poet number 7 and the father number 2. Now it's interesting that the father is here because last time the father came out, the unseen side of the father, the side of the masculine that is capable of doing something that we would attribute to the feminine. And we would call it the feminine within the masculine, but in truth, this is something that is truly masculine. Or there's something that we miss, there's something that we lose out on, there's something that we don't see or consider when we give it to the feminine instead of keeping it with the masculine. It's interesting because in that story, it was well, besides the one male character in that story, it was like a witch, a queen, a princess who was to be queen, and then her daughter, the princess. And then there was like a guy who was the love interest. So he was just there to like be a part of, well, he had his whole own thing going on. But the story focused predominantly on the kingdom of the princess. It started anyway. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. We don't have to get into it. It's just interesting that the father is here now with the gem. The poet. Oh, well, that's easy. It's this King of Wands. Because again, remember this, the world. So in the medicine wheel, the circles or the elliptical, whatever, the ellipses around this, these are the realms of the animals associated with the directions in the medicine wheel. So like snake medicine, eagle medicine, what's that? Hummingbird medicine and big cat medicine, maybe leopard, cheetah, big cat medicine. But in the middle of all of that is this. That's what the poet is holding on to. Like the poet has found it, the poet has claimed it, and it's the father. And so the father that is holding that light, I go, oh, that again is the King of Wands that's already on the table. And here I thought we were going to the mother. Well, I already put the cards back. I mean, it was the shaman. So the mother is between Eros and the unseen. Of course, the mother would be with the unseen. It's the thing that I feel like I haven't necessarily gotten to yet, which I felt like this was kind of supposed to take us in the direction. Maybe. Or maybe I need for me to know. Maybe it's already out there. Maybe somebody else knows. Go watch them. I guess the mother of wands is unseen. Is there a mother in the mystical shaman? Because like I don't even know who I would look for. I could look for that lizard. Just like the seahorse would be our current natural component of that happens in nature. What are you talking about? Um, there is the salamander, the lizard that I talked about, whose species is all female because they like self reproduce. They don't need uh, males to reproduce. I think that salamander snake is on a card in the Pride Tarot. So let's see if there's anything that we can see about the unseen side of this mother. And even like, again, I don't know. It feels almost intentionally deceptive. I don't know if it necessarily feels deceptive or if it just feels like something that we wouldn't perceive of. Like we could be looking at the gem and seeing the stone. So it doesn't necessarily have to hide who or what or how it is if we can't, because it's like our own brain will connect the dots and we'll make an assumption or we'll go on a certain path and it, like, but it's because again, like it's in the dark. Like there's something very hidden, something very almost Edgar Allan Poe about the poet that actually holds this light, that is the source of whatever lies at the center of that medicine wheel. Like, and again, it's like the unseen side of the Father. Like this is the part of the Father that we do see. And this is the part of the Father that we don't see. This side, we don't see this side. We do see this side. We do see, we don't see. Do see, don't see. And it's like the poet is not necessarily intentionally hiding it. It's just how the card is illustrated. Just like how this card is illustrated in some type of way. Like if the King of Wands were to put that hand anywhere else that's not on the rod, you would see that the light comes from his hand. It doesn't actually come from the rod. But also, again, because it isn't something that's sustained by the natural world, because it isn't something that's necessarily divinely sanctioned, it wouldn't do, it's almost like it wouldn't make much of a difference. Because the King of Wands would only be able to potentially, would only be able to perform or sustain it within himself and for himself. And now something like this came out recently. Yeah, it was the Forest when the pair came out. And it was that like the benevolent guide was in reverse. Like guides will not guide you to this because it's not sustainable, because it lies outside of the construction of our natural world and universe. And because it is so deeply interpersonal between an individual and the divine, it's almost like they wouldn't even necessarily have access to it. Like if you think like angels, archangels, and then like God or whatever, like only you and God would have access to that. Like archangels wouldn't even be able to have access because like that's how close it is to that connection or whatever. Or archangels, maybe. Some archangel, maybe. Angels in general, guides in general, ancestors in general, no. I'm not going to say nobody because I don't know. I don't know none of them folk besides the divine that I know for me. Whoever and whatever the divine is to you and however y'all relationship or whatever work, I don't know. That ain't me. That ain't my relationship. But in that, like the benevolent guide was in reverse and it was feeling like it's not something that we can be led or guided to. We just like Phanuel, the angel of truth, waits at the throne. Phanuel knows, but Phanuel waits at the place. It's not like Phanuel is going out and grabbing people and then taking them to the throne. Phanuel just waits beside the throne. Anyway, the star is at the bottom of the deck. I'm gonna give it. I'm not done shuffling though. The star in the chariot. Of course, it's the chariot. What's that? See, I feel like I'm seeing the chariot a lot. I'm seeing a lot of Cancer, Cancerian energy. I just clicked on. I looked at my Google News articles or whatever, and they had one. It was like scientists submit evidence that proves like the ninth planet or whatever. And they were like, in some year, there were a whole bunch of phenomena observed in the neighborhood of wherever Neptune was in the sky that suggested that like there was a planet out there. I don't know if they saw a bunch of stuff orbiting and rotating around, whatever. I don't know. I didn't read it that deep. But I know like trans-Neptunian astrology is a thing from the, what's a deep dive that's not a full deep dive? Like I did a mini astrology deep dive, but my astrology deep dive was like, I saw a few different forms of astrology, but I didn't dive super deep into any of them. It was just like, you know, and like trans-Neptunian astrology is a thing. There was someone who was observing, there was like some point, and it was like every time that either like conjuncted something or whatever, like something would go down, but there wasn't a celestial body that was there that we could see or observe. And they knew it was somewhere like around Neptune because it was trans-Neptunian. So at that point, we had telescopes and stuff. We like knew that Pluto was a planet. But anyway, maybe that's this Cancer energy, because I'm like, Cancer is coming out heavy. Cancer has been here, but ain't nothing in Cancer right now. And I'm like I could look at an ephemeris to see when something is going to be in Cancer. But this is here right now. Now we do have, it's the unseen side of the mother. So maybe it's some unseen mega, not Lilith. Well, I'm pretty sure Lilith is not in Cancer, but I don't know. Let's see. Where is Time Nomad? Open the Time Nomad. Time Nomad. Vesta is in Cancer right now. I don't think it's Vesta. It could be. I could see someone like equating this to Vesta because it is so deeply, because it's so close to the soul and so close to like the divine, and Vesta is like the flame. Like the Vestal virgins were responsible for maintaining the flame that kept, it's like while the flame is burning, then Rome will not fall or whatever. I don't know nothing about Vesta besides like what I literally just said. But to me, again, like I can see how it would be equated to Vesta because Vesta is the flame, or because Vesta is a flame, and something like this is very flame adjacent, but it doesn't feel like Vesta would be the drum, but it's like something behind it. To me, again, I don't know nothing about it. Lilith, where's Lilith? Lilith is in Sagittarius retrograde. Pallas Athena is also retrograde Sagittarius, and then Black Moon Lilith is in. Where's she at? Black Moon Lilith is in Virgo. Lilith is in Sagittarius. Black Moon Lilith is in Virgo. If it's quick enough, no, it'll be Libra. Never mind. Let's find this lizard. All right, one more shuffle. Oh, some card. Oh, that's too many. Oh, that's way too many. The Six of Wands was at the charge, but it was like at least 7 cards. I'm not doing all that. Okay, one more. I'll cut it. And I'm looking from the bottom. Bottom of the deck is the King of Cups, the Nine of Pentacles, and the Ace of Wands. I'm pretty sure this is the card I'm looking for. Pretty sure it is this Ace of Wands. So it's in between the Ten of Swords and the Nine of Pentacles. And then the Six of Swords is here, just to round it out with the King of Cups. Temperance is behind that. I'm going to look in the book, though, to make sure, because I think it mentions... No, I'm like, wait, is that the SKT? I thought it was in this deck. This Ace of Wands card signifies a time when you are radiating new energy and delight in being alive. Radiating new energy? High key. Okay. Out of this exuberant energy comes a rebirth of your creative spark. You are inspired to manifest in a way that you have felt difficult in the past. Doors open to new possibilities that you are uniquely qualified to pursue, and now is your time to reach for success. Yeah, this is it. I instantly knew I wanted to paint this card with the image of a New Mexican whiptail lizard on a spiral wand. Whiptail lizard is an all-female species that reproduces through parthenogenesis, where an ovum becomes an embryo without being fertilized by a sperm. This process is an apt metaphor for the creative spark ignited to start a new endeavor. The spiral wand is a symbol of DNA in these lesbian lizards who engage in same-sex sexual behavior. The background is the Ghost Ranch, the longtime home and inspiration for Georgia O'Keeffe, a prolific artist with a unique vision. I love how it ends with the word vision, because the vision card came out with some other cards that I don't remember. But I remember it was the vision. It wasn't the warrior. The temple. The vision. The vessel, the vision, and the temple. That's what it was. The vessel, the vision, and the temple. So yeah, that is the Ace of Wands that I wanted. So immediately before, it's not making. Oh, there it is. I was like, it's not making noise. And this is illustrated by Karen Vogel. The Pride Tarot is a collaboration deck, so each card is illustrated by someone different, and there are a few people who illustrate like 2 cards. I don't think there's anyone that illustrates more than 2, but there might be. The different people illustrate different cards, okay? See, 2, 4, 6, 8. I don't know what constellations these are. What is that? Hold up. I gotta use my magnifier. Gotta use the zoom. So I'm like, what is this? So I don't know if this is some kind of synchronicity, girl. I genuinely don't know. So this is the Ten of Swords in this deck. Very gruesome. Also, we see the little imps. Oh my gosh. 1, 2, 3. There are 3 little imps. See, I mentioned the imps because of the deck dungeon. The challenge and the 7 of Wands challenge. There were 7 imps and 3 salamanders. The imps from the Dungeons and Dragons tarot seemed like things that we could take care of no problem, so I didn't even really look into them. The 3 salamanders could be 3 of anything. We saw the 3 of Swords. There were 3 swords that had pierced the heart that was still beating and radiating golden energy. There were the 3 challenges from the command tower that Mazzy, the True Sword Paladin, would have to do. there are three. What did like Jesus say that Peter would deny him like 3 times or something like that? I don't know why the number 3, or I don't know what the salamanders necessarily corresponded to, but it was 3 salamanders that had to be defeated to overcome that challenge. And when the imps and the salamanders are defeated in this other dimension that is the death dungeon, their bodies materialize in the physical world. So you could see the result of having overcome those things in a completely separate dimension in the real world. Not necessarily like you ain't necessarily got to see bodies, but the result of having overcome them, you will see in the like 3D manifest material world. Yes. So I'm looking at this, and like I noticed the constellations because I played this game on Netflix yesterday. They have like they're in beta right now. You can play games on Netflix on your TV, but for the ones that I played, you had to use the phone as the controller for the game. And they had constellations in the game. It's like you play a kid, and his dad was like, he said he liked stars one time, so his dad got him a telescope and made him learn the constellations for the 12 zodiac signs. And he was like, on the way there, I would recite the 12 zodiac, whatever. And so because I just saw that, that's why I'm like, I don't know what these constellations behind the moon is. But then I saw that. I saw this. You could see it. It's like, okay, well, it was focusing. I saw this right here. And I was like, what is that? What is that? So I took out my phone and I did the zoom. And it looks like 9, the number 9, and then LO. That's what it is. And that's why I was like, is that like some kind of little sync because I'm talking about the 9th planet? Or there is this, we can observe. Some have observed astrologically, metaphysically, I guess, spiritually, effects around some point in the sky and have been able to track its movement somehow. But also we see astrophysical effects. We see astrophysical phenomena that would suggest that there is another planet out there. Now, I know. You ain't gotta say it. I've heard, I know, where some people might go with the 9th planet. Well, no, because that's like planet 10. They call it planet X. But anyway, I don't know, no, but I have heard, okay? I have heard. Anyway, that's not the point. The point is, though, behind the mother is something unseen. I mean, technically, it's kind of unseen in reverse. Maybe that's why it's in reverse, though. Because we don't see the wind, but we see bags and trash and trees move in it. We feel a sensation and we hear a noise that we can equate to like, oh, that's the wind, but we don't see it. We don't see air. I guess I didn't even super consciously realize that wind, I mixed these up, that wind and taming the wind are on the table. But also, I feel like unseen forces have been a thing at some points. Anyway. The 9 of Pentacles and the 10 of Swords. This is kind of throwing me a little bit, honestly, not gonna lie. 9, 1, 10. All of these are different elements. 9 Pentacles, Ace of Wands, 10 of Swords. So an 8 of Cups or a Page of Cups would be missing. The King of Cups is on the table, though. So I guess technically We do have it. And the King of Cups is underwater. And then it's interesting that the Six of Swords is at the other end of this with two females on the card when the king is underwater. Because it's like they're sailing right on top of the head of this King of Cups and they wouldn't even know it. Now, the boats are different, but if you can imagine that these vessels were the same, I guess a vessel is also like a ship, right? That's what we call like boats and ships and stuff. They're vessels. Do we call airplanes vessels? Are automobiles vessels? Is a bus or a train a vessel? Or is a vessel more like a submarine and not necessarily a boat? I feel like boats are vessels too, right? Hey Google, what is the most seaworthy vessel of all the seven seas?
Here are the top search results.
Let's see. I'm just clicking on the first one. Palladium books. Most seaworthy ship classes in Adventures on the High Seas. Is this a book? I have the book Adventures on the High Seas and have studied the ship stats extensively, but they do not clearly state how seaworthy some of them are compared to others. Ships in the rough northern waters near and around the Algor Sea. I assume the Eastern Giant War galley would not fare well, and the Byzantium ships would do well. What about the Eastern Mercantile or the Imperial galleys? Girl. The seaborne info is a little bit scattered, with a lot of it in high seas. But the other Kingdom books also have info. So, okay, anyway, it's girl. I read it and then I read it for too long because I had a thought and then I lost it. This, it gives me the energy of, I know it's in the occult tarot. It doesn't have to be specific. It's just like some kind of like water spirit or a water deity. Like back in the days where travel by water was the most, when we didn't have access to the air, I guess. Like, it's like there's something beneath the surface. It gave me that kind of energy. Some kind of like spirit of the water or something. Someone who would grant safe passage within waters. It could be Charon. If it's Charon, it would give like a almost sort of psychopomp type energy. The Six of Swords is here, by the way. And then the Three of Swords is under the Six of Swords. And the Lovers is under the Three of Swords. Three swords, six swords. I was like, I've seen the Six of Swords. It's because it's looking at me. The Six of Swords in the circle. What's under the circle? The blade. Oh, gosh. The blade with the Three of Swords. Girl, accurate. Hashtag accurate. Okay. Anyway. I use girl as a gender neutral pronoun. Is that it? No. Well, pronoun is something that refers to a noun, right? I don't know. It's gender neutral. How I use it. Like dude. Girl is like dude to me. See, and then we end this pray card. There's so much like behind the veil or behind the scenes in pray. Now, what's emerging feels like looks very similar to this drum to me. Whatever this is, looks like it's like the top of the drum. Look how similar they look. But it's like even this like gold is hidden behind the veil or something. I don't know. I feel like this went in a direction that I wasn't necessarily expecting. I was supposed to be looking before and after these two mirrors, but it's fine. It's already been an hour and 10 minutes. Something beneath the surface. And I feel like it's no coincidence that the Six of Wands is here. There is an unwritten question, an unspoken question. Sometimes with the Six of Wands, like typically people who travel by the Six of Wands are doing so for a reason. It's not necessarily because they want to. Like, yes, they do want to, but they want to because it's like there's something that they're leaving the Five of Swords behind and the Three of Swords and all of the like the difficult swords energy and the Six of Swords. They're trying to at least. And so when there's something that we're fleeing, something that we're escaping, of course, it's like there are a lot of things that we miss. Because they're deemed as non-essential, almost in a way. And for some reason, referring to them as non-essential takes me back to the medicine wheel, the world, and the sustainer. Meaning like the things that the divine helps us through. The divine would be the one that would be more or less piloting, steering. There we go. I guess I was like, what's piloting for boats? The divine would be the one steering this ship. And so, like, the Six of Swords is how we lean on the divine for support. All of this king, like the stuff beneath the surface, is auxiliary. If I'm using, I feel like I'm using that word how I want to use it. Hey Google, define auxiliary.
Here's the definition of auxiliary.
Auxiliary.
Providing supplementary or additional help and support.
Okay, well, it's like auxiliary, but not with the help or support. It's just like extra. It's not. It's not germane. It's not. It's not a part of the basic package. And maybe that's another reason why it feels like we don't necessarily get guided to this kind of space. Because it's not, it's like it's not anything to guide anyone to. Because it's not, like, it feels like it's so far outside of whatever. Like it's not anything to guide anyone to in a way of a means of like a direct interaction. That's like it's the difference between like you go to a mechanic and you're like, hey, like can you fix my car versus hey, can you teach me how to fix my car so that I never have to come to you again? Not that it's necessarily like that. It is, but it isn't. Like you go to someone else for them to like do it for you. It's part of like the details that we don't necessarily have to worry about. Almost. It's interesting that this is so much fire. This is all fire in the mystical Mondays. And then wind, air was the key element from the mystical shaman. Where's the water? The King of Cups, I guess. The world, the Ace of Wands, Six of Swords, the Circle, the Medicine Wheel, Wind, Nine of Pentacles, Ten of Swords. Like this Nine of Pentacles, I still don't. It's like the Nine of Pentacles helping us get stuff, and the Ten of Swords helping us heal internally. Like that's these two realms, I guess. There's the internal stuff in the Ten of Swords, and then the external comforts of the Nine of Pentacles. And maybe the Ace of Wands in the middle is, again, it's like it's reading again like something that we do ourselves. These lizards reproduce themselves. There are no males. So they don't have a male to come and fertilize the egg. And it's DNA with the spiraled wand. I mean, you don't need anything. Like our bodies already, it's almost like we basically already self-replicate. We just don't do it to the scale of like giving birth. But our DNA and all of our cells that aren't our DNA cell, or the DNA in all of our cells that aren't either sperm cells or egg cells, they completely replicate by themselves. Like they undergo mitosis and not meiosis. Meiosis is like for sperm eggs, where you get half, because then you get another half from somebody else. But in every other cell in the body, you get the complete set that replicates. So again, it's like it's not anything that our bodies don't do. It's just that evolutionarily, for the sake of a species, diversity and differentiation is important for the health of the species. See, and then I don't even, it's fine. I feel like I need to come in with like a spread or an idea or something. Like, what's going on in the 3D? Like, you know what I mean? Like, what is this? So yeah, let's just get some final cards. Eros, the shaman, and the mother. I'm going to read the entry for this Ten of Swords, and I'm going to see if there are any hints or clues as to what this 9 low is. Now, 9 low could be like an artist's, like a trademark. Not a trademark. Is there a word for something that people put in everything they do? It's like a little Easter egg that someone like puts in everything that they illustrate or everything that they whatever. Swords first. Ten of Swords by Irene Lorenzi. The Ten of Swords depicts sadness and loneliness. The Ten of Swords depicts sadness and loneliness. The person who is portrayed here is an androgynous being without gender who lives in who lives in inner conflict because of their identity, and for this reason lives a challenging life. The devils that open this person's chest represent their inner demons, causing them heartache. Their head is detached from the body because they experience life through the mind and the body, because they experience life through the mind and the body as two distinct entities without feeling integrated or accepted. They they live as a sort of martyr. From the eyes, as seen in some sacred images, tears of blood seep out, and the moon behind them represents a sort of halo of swords. We get an androgynous being right next to these lizards that can reproduce without the other gender. Why next to this Nine of Pentacles? This is very like I'm every woman type of energy. Well, I don't know, because then just like anything you want done, baby. Because I feel like that song, it's like being every woman for oneself rather than like anything that you need, I got, because there ain't no you in this picture, but you the only you is you and you. And maybe that's like this, but then again, like there's this, like there's just so much contrast between this Ten of Swords and the Nine of Pentacles. Like from the real world, it makes sense. There are some people who are very, very abundant, who are very, oh, well, I'll say there are people who are very wealthy who aren't that happy. Like after a certain point, the correlation between money and happiness ceases to exist. Right. Like if you can get everything that you need taken care of and you can get all of your wants, more money isn't necessarily gonna make any difference at that point. Because you can already like you already have everything you need and you can already get whatever you want. So I guess there's a question. Obviously, like there could be North Node, South Node, Rahu, K2, the head disconnected from the body. It's almost a question of like, what is the mind of humanity? Because this would be someone who lives in the body. So if the body is good, then they're good. And even when it comes to the mind, there are so many things in the mind that are connected to the body or like the state of the body. This is interesting because what yesterday or the last time I was live, I mentioned, I feel like it was the last time I was live, I mentioned like um, a lot of that, like the one who exists, like what happens or what grows internally in the absence of internal conflict or whatever. And that mentioned like inner conflict, inner demons. I feel like I talked about inner demons because the devil came out. It was the Seven of Swords, the devil, the Two of Cups, and the Seven of Cups, and the Water Unknown Tarot. And that brought out the conversation of like inner conflict and inner demons and stuff like that. But it's like there's so much of the mind that is of the body. Even if it's like one's emotional body or a mental body, physical, like it's all about the bodies. So much of the mind is about, or so much of the mind. And again, like with the Six of Swords and the King of Cups, it makes sense because like we're trying to make it to the next day, the next week, month, year, or whatever. Even if we're not necessarily in survival mode, our experience is so 3D natural that it's like it makes sense. So what would exist outside of the mental, emotional, spiritual, physical body? Is that a question that I can ask cards? I got 4 decks on the table. Deck 1, Mystic Mondays. Deck 2, the Mystical Shaman Oracle cards. Deck 3, the Wild Unknown Archetypes. Deck 4, the Pride Tarot. We're going to roll a d6. If it's a 5 or a 6, then... And I'm going to ask Bixby. Hey, Bixby. Roll a die.
Okay, here we go. Let's see what comes up. You threw a 5.
5. So it's no deck on the table, but it's not the 6. If it were the 6, it would be like way out of context. I feel like with the 5, maybe it's something to ponder on. Maybe it's something to think about. Maybe it's something that isn't for me to pull live generally for a general collective, whatever. No, I'm looking, is there a 5th deck? Oh, do 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 do. I do have a 5th deck on the table, technically, and it's these Magic the Gathering cards. So this is like, we're super, like, if it was a 6, I would like definitely leave it alone. There was something that came out recently. It's one of the recent lives I did. I used the Energy Oracle cards because the Journey came out and Walking Away came out. And I was like, I can already tell this is going to be about perspective. Because in both Journey and Walking Away, they're literally the same. It's just how we frame it that's different. Now, that's another thing with that game that I was playing on Netflix. You could change the perspective from which you viewed the room. And when there were certain things that you could see from some perspectives that you couldn't see from other perspectives. I'm only going to give it like 3 more. Oh, it went back over. That was 1, 2, last one. Oh, okay. I'll take those 2. Oh, I'm taking all 5. 5 is the number. Apparently. Bottom of the deck is Scanos Dragonheart. Scanos Dragonheart Scanos Dragonheart gets an increase in power and toughness for the greatest power among other dragons you control or have controlled. That's where this came out. I know I've seen this one before. I'm pretty sure this one came out at the same time that the other one did. I think. Maybe not. So, on top of the Ace of Wands, Displacer Kitten and Infernal Grasp. I love these two together. Isn't she the cutest thing you've almost seen? Oh my gosh. Wow. Wow. That's hilarious. That because the unseen is behind the mother. That's hilarious. The cutest thing you've almost seen. Under the unseen is the sustainer. And again, it's like it's something with the sustainer, everything happens for a reason and for a purpose. Like there's a reason why something is unseen. There's a reason why the veil exists. There's a reason why separation exists. And there can come a point someday in some way, maybe for some individuals, where those lines of separation are like blurred and it all kind of blends together. But even like I just watched Everything Everywhere All at Once finally the other day, and there are so many minds like within that movie. I talked about it. There are so many minds that can't handle like being that open to all of those parallel lives and universes at the same time. And at the same time, for those that can, there's also the question of like, what is their takeaway? Or like, what is the takeaway? Because one character arrives at the conclusion that nothing matters. That's the takeaway. When you can be everything everywhere all at once, you see how truly pointless it all is and nothing matters. Other people, they just like explode because it's overload. Sometimes the mind is separated. And again, it's like even in real life, unfortunately, sometimes the mind is separated from the body for survival purposes. We can't even face certain truths that we don't want to see, really, sometimes. Anyway, the cutest thing you almost saw. And then Infernal Grasp. Ancient evils dwell within the burning chasm called the Ashmouth, ever ready to devour those foolish enough to travel alone. So, like the sustainer and those protections are there for, like, there's a reason why this ship is like going across the water. And they're not like swimming or in a submarine where this thing is, whatever that thing is. But sometimes we go looking for things that we're not, honestly, that we're not ready to handle. Or that we don't have a capacity to receive. And free will, I guess, if that's how we use our will. But what I like about this, or what's interesting about this combination, is it feels like whenever this infernal influence from Infernal Grasp would try to like get a hold of something, the Displacer Kitten moves it. It's like, right? And these both fell out on top of Ace of Wands, by the way, on top of the wind that somebody is theoretically, hypothetically taming, or has theoretically, hypothetically tamed. Certain energies just like you can't get your hands on. It's literally impossible. The displacer kitten is just like bloop, 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 bloop. Its special is avoidance as well, you know. Oh no, not Infernal Grasp trying to destroy this creature. Infernal Grasp, destroy target creature. You lose 2 life to try to destroy a creature. Imagine losing 2 life to try to destroy the displacer kitten. And it don't even happen. Displacer kitten just blips somewhere else and you just lost 2 life from where. And then the Ancient Bronze Dragon. I found it, by the way. The Ancient Bronze Dragon. There it is. It's back. With 2 face down cards that are Tiamat's Fanatics and the Taunting Kobold. One of these is actually a dragon. Tiamat's Fanatics is a dragon warrior. The Taunting Kobold is a kobold. But Scanos Dragonheart was at the bottom of the deck. No, neither one of these have flavor text. But in the context where they came out, both of them were related to challenges. The Taunting Kobold was related to the fire challenge from Azzy, the True Sword Paladin. Tiamat's Fanatics were like wreaking havoc, trying to invade the Spire. The one that was like removed from time, displaced from time. Tiamat's Fanatics would be like this Infernal Grasp. That's how they came out when it came out. And then the Displacer Kitten was basically Gale. In order to keep whatever from getting to whatever that spire or that tower is, the Displacer Kitten removed it from time. Removed it from time and space. Where it's like it's literally impossible to get there. Because it's like as soon as you approach it, you're frozen in time. But I guess it's interesting because recently something came out where it felt like lost time. But I guess that would be the reason. LOL. It's like that would be the chunk of time that we lose. It was displaced to protect something. Again, that's how it happens in real life. When the mind disconnects from the body sometimes and we lose time for survival. And I don't know. I guess I can see it where if there are certain things that we don't recall or remember fully, we wouldn't necessarily know why we don't remember what we don't remember. So it is, again, like it's not necessarily always wise to go and force a remembrance, because sometimes we remember why we forgot the things that we would honestly rather leave forgotten, especially if our capacity to face and address them is not there. It's like we would be re-traumatizing ourselves for because we chose to, or because I don't know. Like when we're ready to move past and move beyond those things, I feel like they just kind of sort of resurface or come up naturally. It's never necessarily anything that we have to go looking for, especially if we're not working with a professional. You know what I mean? Like a licensed professional, be it like a therapist, or be it someone who has the capacity to really take us through those things. If someone just has the gift of like enabling some kind of recall or calling things back to memory, but they don't also have the gift of like guiding people or helping people through like heavy things, that person could end up causing more damage and more harm than good to some people. Because again, some things that we forget, some things that have been forgotten were forgotten for good reason. And to bring things back up, that's why people have like a whole bunch of problems and a whole bunch of stuff. Anyway. Which, sometimes is the point, I guess. Like if we're ever used by devil energy, devil energy is like, oh yeah. But devil energy takes advantage of kind, compassionate hearts all the time. But if it's the ego, girl, oof. It is 6:09. Mirror. Okay. I'm gonna grab the Fable Makers Tarot. I'm going to grab deck number 6 to look at I just watched something on Netflix last night. Like well-meaning, well-intentioned, but ignorant people can be used and puppeted for all kinds of stuff. And it's not ignorant in any way, again, that's meant to be derogatory. It's just like people who legitimately do not know. Like I just watched a show last night where people get, it was another parallel world show. I didn't go looking for it. It found me. But people go to another world and they meet people who look like them in their world. And they discover that the lives of those people are interconnected, but they're not told how. There's one person that's like, if you look at the evidence, when these people lost their lives on this side, we saw that the people lost their lives on the other side. There's somebody that they saved. There was somebody in danger and someone that they saved. So the one character is like, if we want to save her over here, we need to save her over there. And then the other person's like, well, like maybe our person is getting sick now because we saved somebody over there that was supposed to die. Like who's to say how that connection works? Maybe we have to kill this person to save this person. And of course, you get the evil person that's like, yeah, that's what you have to do. That's what you have to do. You got to kill the princess to save your girlfriend. And then off camera, when they're apart, they're like, oh, that fool is going to kill his girlfriend and he doesn't even know. Like, girl, people know. Sometimes the people who know take advantage of the people who don't know. I don't know if that's necessarily related to anything. It's just that, like, being well-intentioned, it's possible to still cause damage being well-intentioned. And again, it's just like before we are so quick to do certain things, sometimes maybe we should just like take a minute to think or consider like how deep into this like do I really want to go? Right. Like imagine that you are someone who specializes in past life recall. For example, this is an example. You specialize in past life recall and you're like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. Like, let me do this. But you don't like, yeah, let's just keep it. You're someone who specializes in past life recall. You get somebody who come to you and they're like, I want to do a past life recall. And maybe there's something in you that's like, maybe I shouldn't do this. Maybe there isn't, but you do it. And then you tap into some past life where some very dark, very traumatic, whatever stuff happens. And now you have a person who is essentially remembering or reliving that. Like, are you also like, I don't want to say qualified, but like, would you also feel comfortable like helping someone like not get stuck there. Because that's something that, like, have you ever had a dream that's like really whatever, and you wake up and it still bothers you, like it still weighs heavy on you? It's like, imagine that, but who knows how deeply it'll set with someone because now they like remember. So that could be something that they're constantly thinking about, constantly reliving, and like it's something to consider, I guess. And I think another thing, and of course I'm no exception to this, but another thing that I've noticed, first of all, be careful what you wish for, or be careful what you say in jest, because it might happen. And of course, when it happens, nobody's prepared. But also, and I've talked about it before, it's just like a short sightedness, especially when someone like tries to spite someone else in some way, but they're so short sighted in the fact that, or in the terms, or in the sense that they don't even consider how their lives would change or how their lives would be impacted if whatever comes to pass. It's like there are certain situations that affect more than like what, but I don't know. It's a very, very specific case, but I'm just like did no one stop to think how this may affect them too? Or I guess, I don't know, nobody thought they would necessarily be the one on whatever, but it's like now when Patrick is involved, stuff is gonna work out. So Patrick is more or less taken care of. And sometimes to make sure, because Patrick is whatever Patrick is, and if stuff ain't whatever, then Patrick is still gonna be okay. Because whatever Patrick got to do, he'll do at this point, I guess. But anyway, like the situation, even though while less ideal, like there's a buffer, there's a cushion, and there's a buffer and a cushion for people who get it, but for the people who were like wishing ill, it's like, did you never consider how this would affect you if this were to come to pass, if that were to be? Like, did you never, ever once think, what would I do if that happened? Ooh. Oh, High Priestess. Look what's at the bottom of the deck. Oh, this is actually an interesting combination. Two of Pentacles and the Five of Swords. Do we got Wada? Nope, the Knight of Wands. The High Priestess came out on top of the Wind. The Ace of Wands is at the bottom of the deck. Oh, I don't even think I realized that. I was just looking for the self-replicating lizard, or the self-reproducing lizard. The Ace of Wands is here 3 times now. And again, in this Ace of Wands, we see the leaves popping off of the wand. Right? You see the leaves popping off? And in the High Priestess, the only thing that moves besides the water are these leaves that blow in the veil or whatever. Interesting. Why did I pull out this deck? What was I going to look for? I don't know. Yeah, it's just, I think sometimes things can be a little more deeper or complex or complicated than we might necessarily think. And whenever something happens, whenever something is done, oftentimes it can't be undone. So then it would be too late to go like, oh, like, I guess we can go, oh, I shouldn't have done that. Yeah, but that's not going to undo whatever. I don't know. I would just, I don't know. there are some things that until we're ready, it can be a lot more harm than good. But as long as you're listening to like your intuition and your discernment, you'll be fine. Your intuition, I would like to say you'll be fine. I don't know. Just discernment, hopefully. Why did I pull this? The high priestess is the wind, the unseen mother. But the high priestess would know. Anyway, maybe I'll put these back because it came out when I was talking about, or when I was asking the question, the hypothetical question of like, do we not consider how our own lives will be affected, or how our own lives will change whenever it comes to certain things? And it's just like, because I've seen it, I'm like, you essentially wish this upon yourself when you wished it upon someone else. You just weren't considering at the time how you would be affected by it. That's why they say be careful what you wish for, I guess. Oh, it's just like, I don't know. And in this like particular case, in this particular instance, it's interesting because there were so many basically opportunities to be on the other side that just like weren't taken. I don't know. How does that fit into it's because maybe it's because a coyote is here. I feel like again, like the deeper and the closer, like this is so close. Whatever this energy is so close to one soul that it's just like there's so much precaution that I feel like would need to be taken because malpractice is a thing. Unfortunately, you can't take a spiritual malpractice case to the court and be rewarded some dollars for compensation as if it were medical malpractice, but spiritual, emotional, even maybe, I guess, therapeutic malpractice. Now, that kind of malpractice, if you go to a therapist, maybe because they're accredited by boards. So maybe you can go to the board and be like, I don't know. I'm just like, girl. And then you walk out with more issues than you walked in with. Walk out with problems that you didn't even have. Walk out thinking that something's in you that's not even there, besides now the phantom of it that you'll deal with. And of course, that's not all practitioners. Of course, there are people who are genuinely not only like who are genuinely capable, I guess, but also you got egos and all kinds of other stuff. I don't know. It's just, I don't know. It's just, I don't know. Like, especially for this to read like something that a guide wouldn't even take you through, or like a guide wouldn't even like guide you here, to try to have another human being. I don't know. Because at the end of the day, to me, like people are still people. When it comes to certain things and to certain degrees, it's like, yes, oh my gosh. But when it comes to other things, it's like people are still people. And not even in terms of like motivations, but in terms of like capabilities of like just like big picture, long term, all of the different potential whatevers. We're just like inherently short sighted as people. We don't have the same omniscient vision and knowing that the divine does. It don't fit in the vessel. Again, not to say that certain people, because there are people who do have the gifts, I'm sure, but I don't know. The Ten of Cups just came out with the Page of Wands at the bottom of the deck. That's gorgeous, but that's not what we're looking for. All right, I'm gonna stop talking. Let me just breathe. I'm gonna put the cards down. First, I'm gonna breathe this out. I don't know where. I'll breathe it into my hand, and then I'll throw it away. Ew. All right. Who is this on the table? Oh, the cards are in reverse. I'm glad I picked it up because I just picked up the whole deck in reverse. Okay. What am I looking for here? The Five of Wands is here. I don't know. I'll just get like 2 cards. One just flipped over. I still need to get card protectors. It's the Knight of Swords. Bottom of the deck is the Knight of Coins. They're heading in different directions. And then the Nine of Swords is under this Knight of Coins. Let me look at the horse first. Let me look at this one first. The Knight of Swords. Okay. Knight of Coins. Okay. There's the other cards that came out. Oh. You see how the leaves are moving in the wind? I'm not even going to mention the High Priestess besides this right here. You see how the leaves are moving in the wind? There's something in this, the prayer card, that feels very like similar. Like it feels like there should be like movement in this card. Now, if we take the mind to be the swords and the body to be the pentacles, the mind and the body are moving in 2 different directions. And both of them are doing what they kind of sort of typically do. The mind is racing, the body is just like still. So we have one more. The Nine of Swords is under this. Let's just get one more card, please. One more card, please. Where is the mind going? Or what is the mind heading towards? Can I get a card, please? I'll do 2 more shuffles. Oh, almost. No. Where's the body facing? What direction is the body facing? Because it ain't moving as quick as the mind. Where's the body going? We'll do two more. Oh. No, nothing for the mind and nothing for the body. The bottom of the deck is the Ten of Wands. I wonder if this is one of those, because the Ten of Wands is at the bottom of the deck, I wonder if neither one is really moving anywhere. At first, when nothing came out for the mind, I was like, okay, the mind is going somewhere that I don't know or don't see or that won't come out. That's fine. But now it's almost like it's because these two are tied together, but heading in the different, because they're tied together, because they are linked, but moving in different directions, they're not going anywhere. And the body is heavy enough that even with the racing mind, it's not moving. I guess the coin is spinning, but the body isn't moving anywhere. Now that could be like in some situations and circumstances, we have to do more than just think. We have to put action behind something. And without any action, something won't move. If the mind is the only thing that moves, nothing will change in some circumstances and situations. And in other situations and circumstances, it's almost like because the body doesn't move, the mind moves. But that feels like it doesn't have to, but it feels like that could be part of the correlating. I'm like, what's the word? Where we draw improper conclusions. It's like, oh, the body isn't moving. That must mean this. That must mean that. That must mean all of these things because the earth is basically still, or because my life hasn't changed. All of these other things must be true. But they're not on the same page. I'm going to look. The Page of Wands was at the bottom of the deck with the Ten of Cups before these came out. I was going to say, because I said they're not on the same page, I was going to look and see what the first page that I came across was. But we already saw the Ten of Cups and the Page of Wands. The Ten of Cups, they would be on the same page. That's like the happy family under the rainbow. And that's the Page of Wands. So let's look at the Page of Cups. Ten of Wands, Four of Wands, Justice. King of Wands with the Empress. Okay. Oh, hold up. Hold up. Oh, I didn't mean to throw that card. I just flung the Three of Wands. I cannot damage these cards ever. Oh, my hair is still wet. It's still drying. Yeah, I just flung the Three of the Stars here. The star. Why was I thinking about the star? I don't know. I don't remember. Look at this. The King of Wands is with the Empress. This might be the feminine. Maybe? Because literally, like, the feminine went so far internal that she emerged whole. She emerged with her masculine characteristics and aspects. So it's possible that this could have been feminine energy this whole time. Was my clue like it's the Princess of Wands? Like this is the queen. But I did mention that. I did draw that correlation. So started as the princess, emerged as the king. My brain just exploded a little bit. It's fine. I feel like I was supposed to see this and I didn't see it. Supposed to is I recognized it when I was supposed to. I just didn't. That was literally the stone in the gem. The wind, because there are feminine. Well, still, like I've seen this and I've mentioned it, but I feel like I'm like really getting it now. Seeing the King of Wands and the Empress together in this deck 2 hours later. The wind and the Ace of Wands. Taming the wind and the King of Wands. Like, I feel like I mentioned this, but like the wind is represented by the wand. Taming the wind, and the King of Wands is holding the wand. Like, tame the wand, tame the wind. But what? King of Cups, Six of Swords, with the drum and the coyote. I don't know why I had to get this deep to see it this way. Maybe somebody who's watching this is considering going to. Maybe somebody who's watching this and who has watched the past few videos is like, what is this energy? Girl, Patrick don't know what this is. Whenever it comes out, there is no guide or whatever for this energy. There are plenty of guardians of this energy. We see the guardians, but there are no guides. And so if someone is seeking something, and that's why it was like, be careful, be mindful. If someone is in a circumstance or situation where they may feel vindicated or whatever in a certain type of way, just don't be short-sighted, I guess. Because I've seen in a particular case some short-sighted people who again were wishing and wanting and who were so happy for others to be in a space of misfortune, but never once considering what it would mean for them. And now the others are more or less taken care of, and they're in whatever situation they're in. And it's like, I don't know. I guess what it was they thought that they had some kind of security. And I guess technically they do. For as long as they do. But it's just like, I don't know. It's like we shouldn't be wishing unwell upon others anyway. But are just like wishing that things go a certain type of way, like in the world. But again, because that's also a thing. but it's being so short-sighted that sometimes we don't even stop to consider what it would mean for us. Like certain things are marketed in a certain type of way to make them look desirable, but in reality, what do they really do for us? Not much. Sometimes they work against us, but they convince us that I literally just, girl, I'm watching this other anime. I watched the new episode yesterday. In the show, they're literally like, the gifts that we get from the gods are curses. It's because of our gifts that our lives are predetermined. We should cast aside our gifts and let literal demons show us how to use our power or whatever. And I'm like, ah! I'm like, what is it? And then, of course, the people in the show are like, yeah. Which is interesting because there's this whole other show that works on a similar premise. When you come of age, you get a gift. And the person's like, like, I don't know what kind of gift that I like. I don't want to get a gift because I don't know what kind of gift it'll be. And I don't want to live some kind of, and the main character in that show is like, yes, your gift gives you access to certain like abilities and stuff, but it is like it does not dictate your life. Like you can still live a life where your gift supports you in a way that's not necessarily face value what you immediately think of. I'm watching another show. There's someone who was born under unfortunate circumstances and they feel like a poison. And so they're this alchemical genius and they're convinced that they've come up with this thing that is a poison that will negatively impact the world in very significant ways, but that's what they were born to do. And they can't see anything any other way. And so someone literally has to show them this is an application of that very thing that you are obsessed with bringing to fruition that ain't mass murdering people. Like you could, like, even poisons, all poisons can be medicinal if you use them in the right way. But like this character, and it's like he was like, whoa, I never considered that. And it's like, of course you never considered it because it ran perpendicular, it ran counter to your line of thinking. I am a poison, everything that I create is poison, and because of that, many people will lose their lives because of me, and that's just how the world works. Well, in what point of any of that were you supposed to find something beautiful? But anyway, I'm like, oh my gosh. And I'm playing this other game. I'm like, I'm playing that game slow because it's like, I love how certain things, this is like an aside. This is a complete aside. Obviously, we like way off the rails. Or are we? Take it as it resonates. I'm kidding. It's so interesting, I guess, some of the themes that play out in fantasy and video games and movies and just entertainment in general. When it's like, girl, like, I don't need a video game to tell me what this experience would be like. If I drive an hour one way or another way, I can have this experience in 2024 in real life. So I'm just like high key over it, but I love the gameplay. But that's why I'm just playing it slow. I'm like, I don't need the metaphor. You know what I mean? Like, girl, anyway. It's just like it's wild. But yeah, people were just like, in the anime, they're like, and like the person had brainwashed the bishop, the archbishop, and the knight commander that is trusted. Or like they had a puppet And because they saw a man of faith and the man that they trust that were co-signing, controlled by the one that's putting out this narrative, they're like, oh, well, if they're saying it, it must be true. Yeah, let's abandon our gifts from God and embrace these powers from these demons. And he was like, I know that you're afraid of this demon because we've been taught to fear the demons by the church. And it's like, okay, I get that there are some things, some agendas that are pushed, but there are some truths that remain true because the demons in that show are not working to free people. The demons in the show are pretty much the demons you would think about when it comes to demons. And they found one man who lost his wife, so he wants the world to fall apart and burn. And then a child who doesn't want to be a disappointment to his father, basically, or who doesn't want to be called a failure or looked at as a failure. And it's like, one of you is already clocked out. The other one ain't seeing nothing but what's right in front of his nose. And these demons is playing both of y'all. And I guess the rest of the kingdom in this anime is about to fall into the ploy and the plot because, yeah, it makes sense what they say. It's like Little Nicky. Jesus this. What did he say? Jesus this, Abraham that, Moses hit me with a wiffle ball bat, or Jesus this, Moses that, Abraham hit me with a wiffle ball bat. And sin is in, girl. No, it's not. It still isn't. Some things that your parents told you were true. Some things it was the best they knew. Some things it was what everybody did. Some stuff, use your intuition and discernment. And again, just in general, it's so easy to pick up on things that are not ours or for us. The moon is at the bottom of the deck. I still didn't find that page of cups, but it's fine. I feel like I've reached the point. I've been live for too long. It's tangent after tangent. But it's like all of these things that we are so likely to come across when we're searching. And depending on what we're searching for, just be mindful and be careful and be extra discerning. Like, it's like, again, just be extra mindful and extra discerning, especially with whatever something like, because honestly, like, this reads as so fantastical. I wouldn't be surprised. It's just anything fantastical is. There are many fantastical things in the community, quote unquote, that have led people to all kinds of stuff. The Eternal Child and the Shaman. Agape, unconditional love. I'm putting all the cards back. We're going to move into final cards. I'm not going to get a final card from the Fable Makers Tarot. I'm just going to put this card back. I already shuffled it. I guess I'll read what's at the bottom and the top of these. I'll kind of, I don't know, lots of fantastical, whatever, just about in general. Like Twin Flames, 5D Earth, all of this stuff. Again, it's who would like listen to that and not claim it? Like, who doesn't want to feel special or unique, or who doesn't want to be Harry in Harry Potter or Neo in the Matrix or the main character of some story? You know what I mean? Four of Coins and the Devil. Oof. See, but the devil in this, I saw the devil in this in the book before I saw the card. And the most interesting thing about the devil card in this deck to me is that it's holding up the live long and prosper type hands. So it's like, I guess it's interesting because the Hierophant isn't what I usually see in the Hierophants. But it's like, how do I explain it? Like, I feel like this is this is like an imagined devil to me, or this is a constructed devil energy. Because on one hand, my brain is like, why is it devil energy? Why is it evil to want people to live long and prosper? But then at the same time, I live in a world where someone could be like, hey, treat people with decency and respect. And people will go, oh my gosh, like, I see it. I look out into the world and I see it. People get mad at you for saying, have a good day. On the other side, we have death and the Four of Swords. This is like the Juliet kind of death. This is she's sleeping. We got death. Okay, in the Four of Swords, sometimes it is someone that's like on a coffin type of thing. In some decks, they're like in a sarcophagus or whatever. But it's like she's literally sleeping. She's not dead, bro. She's just asleep. Maybe that's supposed to be encouragement, you know? The heart of humanity isn't dead. It's just asleep. I just wish we could, I don't know. We are moving in a lot of ways, but in some ways, some stuff is just like crazy. It's wild. But yeah, I was like, why is that devil energy? Live long and prosper. It's not like booze, sex, and whatever other vices. It's just like live a good life and be happy. See, that's the kind of devil energy that one kind of Hierophant energy that doesn't want you to truly be like happy, sovereign, self-sufficient, whatever. Like that devil energy would be the herbalist or the what do you call them? The medicine person. And the Hierophant in comparison would be like big pharma. Or it's funny. I guess I didn't throw it far enough away, but I feel like the Moon and the Five of Swords. I love the Five of Swords in this deck. The Five of Swords in this deck is the person that's like, you know what? Y'all ain't gonna beat me up no more. You ain't gonna beat me up no more. You ain't gonna bully me no more. I'm taking my power back. And they do. They rise up. Cool, love it. And the Moon, I guess the bullies didn't see that coming. The bully's like, oh my gosh. Hey, Janelle. I wish you said hi earlier. I'm kidding. It's just, I don't know. It's that part where I'm like, come on, people. Like, come on, humanity. But maybe that's why. Maybe it's because the brain and the body are separated. Maybe it's because the brain is separate from the body that we can be so short-sighted sometimes, or where we could so easily buy into things for an apparent, immediate pleasure or soothing or whatever, and not like connect the dots or the cogs in the wheel, or let it play out long enough to like see how it'll sort of like stretch out long term. Maybe that's why we can be blinded to certain truths and just whatever. Knight of Pentacles, Two of Wands. All right. Pride Tarot, final card, please. The Whip-tail Lizard. Let's see how long I remember that one. There's actually a Pokemon in Pokemon that plays off of that. They're all females because they're based off of that lizard or those lizards. I don't know how many of them do that, but the Eight of Wands. Bottom of the deck is the Five of Swords. Now, there are some letters, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 2 out of 8, 25% of these letters aren't on the line. And I don't know what that means. Like 2 of them, these 2, are just like floating out in space. The rest of them are clipped to that line. One of them has a heart, or one of them you can see the heart on the back. I guess not all of the envelopes have hearts on them. So if I use my context clues, the ones, the envelope backs that we see that are behind her don't have hearts on the back. I think she's putting the hearts on these. So this one is one that she would have already at least that one is one that she would have already stamped or sealed or whatever. And it's almost like she gave it to the wind to carry the message. I could see her giving this message to the wind if she doesn't know where somebody is. Like if there is no address, if there's just the name, then the wind will carry it to wherever that person may be. Under the Five of Swords is the Four of Swords. Okay, yeah. This is one of those Four of Swords where like she's sleeping. We can assume that she hasn't perished under that tree. She literally blissed to death. She was so peaceful in her sleep that her spirit just left her body. No, it's not that. The Knight of Swords is under this. This Knight of Swords is like the stillest Knight of Swords I think I own or see. That Knight of Swords ain't going nowhere. And the horse is like, them other Knights of Swords, I see them horses crying because they're moving so fast. Like, what is this? What's happening? Why aren't we going anywhere? Excuse me. This is so interesting. And it's these 2 letters that are like not on the line that are really catching my eye. Because the Five of Swords, and in part the Four of Swords, but mostly because the Five of Swords is here, this could be like messages that are hard for us to receive when we're not in a position, or when we don't take a stance of like wielding our power, actively wielding our power. That is an active wielding of that sword. That's not one of those like, so it's like as long as we are bullied and beat down or not necessarily a victim to our circumstances, but as long as we are so primarily consumed by our circumstances, as long as our circumstances occupy a certain mental threshold, if the mind is all about the body, then there are certain messages that like we won't receive, or certain things we won't, because it doesn't benefit our survival, or because it doesn't benefit us like thriving. If it doesn't benefit us mentally, emotionally, spiritually, or physically, like if it doesn't build us wealth in those areas or provide some kind of comfort, and it's like it's what the mind almost naturally does, especially when it's in certain states. Excuse me, it just like naturally overlooks things that it deems are not important. And so they kind of just like blow in the wind until we're ready to receive them. Now, with these cards together, because the Five of Swords came out, I don't know if the Five of Swords came out meaning like we saw the Five of Swords before. So, yeah, before it was at the bottom of the deck, it came out. So, I think we may be in a position to start to recognize and see and receive things that we didn't necessarily before, to have our sight sort of expanded a little bit at the very least. And it may not be like a new message, right? Because this is snail mail. So there's no way to get the letter as someone is writing it. So if it's a few minutes, days, seconds, years, whatever, these messages are already written, which could be an element of destiny. It could be an element of something that has been foretold, of course. Doesn't necessarily have to be. It could be a thing of like faith. Like, someone who had faith that you would do whatever left something for you. And maybe you're like, oh my gosh, like, how did you know that I would do this? And they're like, because I believed in you and I knew you would do it. Not to say that it has to be old news, but it feels like it's been circulating. It also makes me think of when I looked at these cards differently, and I was like, oh my gosh, the wind is the Ace of Wands. The wind is the wand. Taming the wind is the King of Wands. And again, I feel like I caught that when it came out, but I just didn't see it how I saw it. Because I feel like I mentioned it. But when I saw it, I was like, wow. Maybe because I was talking about the world and the medicine wheel, and I was really trying to convey how I was seeing those as the same. Excuse me. I'm about to be ready for a nap. I'm about to be ready for a nap, ready for a nap, ready for a nap. The island. Final Magic the Gathering card because I picked it up. I still got, I think, at least one booster pack, but I may never use that booster pack because after I use it, it'll be over. I'm the type of person sometimes Like, and maybe this is one of my character flaws. I'd never read the last book in the Heroes of Olympus series because I wasn't necessarily ready for the series to be over. I still haven't seen the last episode of the most recent season of Stranger Things. I still haven't seen the last episode of Attack on Titan. It took me a while to get to the last of something else. I don't even remember why I brought it up. Oh, because it's my last pack, so I may never. Oh, I didn't. Yeah, so I didn't read the last book because I'm like, I'm not ready for the series to be over. Only to find out there's a whole other follow-up series. I was like, what? Now I'm way behind because I didn't want to finish that whatever. But I get books that I actually enjoy reading, so I'm not really behind. And now I have the time to actually like read, and it won't be like, oh, I could be doing homework, or oh, I could be doing something else. I shouldn't just be reading right now. I don't have to feel guilty about reading. That's the thing about not being in school that I love. It's like when school is like when I was in school, there was always a test to study for, or homework to do, or a project, or whatever, a presentation. But after school, when you're done with work, you're done with work. Now, if you work all the time, then that's still a thing. But when you get off of work, when you go home, hopefully you could, be off work. Sometimes it don't hit me often. But I feel like a few months ago, it kind of hit me where I don't know if I had gotten a new game or if I had gotten to a really good point in a game. But I got home from work and I was like, oh, I get to play the game now. And I don't have anything, like I have no more commitments tonight. I get to play the game. There's no homework. There's no exam to study for or a test or presentation to put together. I get to just play the game. And it was glorious. Now I play the game all the time. All good things in moderation. All right. Magic the Gathering. I'll give you 2 more. If nothing comes out, I'll take it as. All right. It's not ready yet. Let's put away the Mystic Monday. Some of these cards are like bent. They are bent. Like the Princess of Wands don't sit flat on the table. I'm like, oh my gosh. I like my cards to look like and feel like they've never been used. I don't know. Ooh, first I saw the 4 of Wands, then I saw the 4 of Swords and the 6 of Swords at the cut. Now the Princess of Cups is here. Oh my gosh, the world is still on the table. All right. Oh, that flipped over immediately. The 7 of Pentacles. And I think I just saw a card face. I did. The Wheel of Fortune. Bottom of the deck is the 9 of Swords. The 7 of Pentacles and the Wheel of Fortune. This is like, I don't know if this is necessarily Scorpio full moon vibes, but because the moon is there and because this is the 7 of Pentacles, it's like that which is done in the dark is coming to the light, but in like a more positive connotation in way. So this is like someone who burns the midnight oil, who behind closed doors is like doing all kinds of stuff, pouring into themselves. Someone who makes side hustle, whatever. It's like that. Maybe I don't know. I don't want to be like, yo, side gig is about to become your main hustle type energy, something about to blow up. I was literally just talking about somebody who was on staff with me when I was an RA. Because I was going through my old pictures. There's a guy who has over 700,000 subscribers on YouTube. We were RAs together. I was depressed and miserable and not making content on YouTube. He was depressed and miserable and making content on YouTube. Blew up, dropped out the next like school year to pursue his content creation, and he's still growing. I'm like, that's so cool. Anyway. But yeah, he has like 700 something. He's a car YouTuber. He does that. That's why I don't like. I subscribe to support my friend, but I don't. I watch some of his stuff, but I'm like, I don't know nothing about cars. I didn't know car YouTube was as big as it is. I didn't know auto YouTube was a thing. But anyway, like that's something that I guess he was like doing that like blew up, and then it did so well, and it's still doing so well that he was able to pursue that and put the degree or whatever on the back burner. Come back to it later because you can always get a degree whenever, right? Yeah, it may be easier when, depending on the person. Some people do better with school after some time away from school. Some people are like, while they're in school, it would be better for them to just continue and get it all out of the way before they stop because they may not want to go back. Different paths, different people. But there's no age limit on like when you have to get a degree. So, and maybe that's something relevant here too. Like if someone can afford to take the time to invest in something more and go back to whatever whenever, then that may be the choice or decision that someone makes, because it's like, well, that thing isn't going anywhere and I can do it later. This is like really hot, this is really popping, and I'm going to jump on it. Now the 9 of Swords being here is interesting. If I'm following this, and then the 9 of Wands is behind the 9 of Swords, and the 8 of Wands, we just saw her, is behind this 9 of Wands. This could be someone, this is someone who's very brave and someone who's very courageous, or someone who's going to be very brave and very courageous. The 9 of Swords being here doesn't surprise me because this could be like, because whatever this is was grown in the dark and worked on in the dark, it's just like, it could be easy to not necessarily have a whole lot of like confidence within oneself when it comes to this. Like that could be like, oh yeah, like, I do it as a hobby or I do it in my spare time, but like, I don't know about doing that professionally. I don't know about doing that full time. I don't know about investing even more. Like, what about this? What about all of these other things? Like that could be a source of some kind of anxiety. But with the 9 of Wands right behind that 9 of Swords, I feel like this is something that someone's going to do anyway. And the 8 of Wands is here as well. The Wheel of Fortune is here. The 5 of Wands is behind the 8 of Wands, but the 9 of Pentacles is behind the 5 of Wands. And the 10 of Cups is behind the 9 of Pentacles. Like, and then the Moon is behind that. Because the Moon is behind this, and because this was worked on in the Moon, it is almost giving like passion project type energy, like something that someone does for fun, something that someone does on the side, something that someone wouldn't necessarily think of. It feels like something that someone would like love to invest more time, energy, and effort into, but they may not necessarily think they can. It'd be someone who like does photography on the side, and maybe they started doing it like 7 Pentacles, right? Maybe they got into it in lockdown, or maybe somebody had some downtime, or maybe somebody got a camera when they were a kid. They invest in a new camera, they do a master class, they watch videos on YouTube, and then they do a photo shoot with a friend. And that, because that's what they want to do. And then the friend's like, oh my gosh, like you're really good at this. Like, can you do a photo shoot for an occasion. And they're like, maybe they're nervous, but like, we're friends, girl. Like, if you hate them, maybe it's one of those like, I'll do it. But if you hate them, like, and you go to a professional, I wouldn't be mad. They turn out amazing. It's almost like this word of mouth. First, someone does it for friends, and then they do it for strangers because it's word of mouth. And then it comes, maybe they get scouted for National Geographic. I don't know. And maybe at that point, they're like, I was literally, it's not this exactly, but I was thinking earlier today when I came home from the gym about, like I said at the beginning of the video, like what I'm going to do or what I'm preparing myself for, like how I'm going to move forward, what I'm going to do moving into the future. And there are some things, like the comfort zone is so wild because my comfort zone has expanded to include things that were so far. My comfort zone has expanded to include things that were in my never, ever, 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 ever zone. And now I'm like, oh, well, I could do that. And I'm just like, earlier today, I was like, it's so wild how that thing that I would never, ever, 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 ever do is now within my comfort zone. And I feel more comfortable doing that than I would pursuing something else. But I have already experienced so many times going along with like things that I didn't think I would be able to do or whatever. And then I did. And now it's a part of my comfort zone. And it's like, well, what makes these other things any different? But I was just like, it's so wild how the comfort zone works like that. Like how things outside of the comfort zone become comfortable and preferable over other unknown things. But it's like, that's why it's like kind of sort of relevant-ish. Like, but again, the Nine of Wands is here. So I feel like even though the Nine of Swords, even though anxiety is there, maybe it's a little bit of that, like, well, I didn't think I would do this or that either. Like other people said, my pictures have turned out really good. Maybe you shot something and it ended up in the newspaper in your town or something like that. And it's like it doesn't hurt to try. Like if you don't do it, but this is one of those, like, because this is such, I love a Knight of Wands that is strong and defiant. Battered, bruised, injured, wounded wearer. This is the wounded wearer warrior. I love a wounded wearer warrior. Because you look at the wounded wearer warrior and you say, wounded where? Exactly. I know we have our wounded warrior periods and phases. No shade against the wounded warriors, because sometimes it'd be like that. So sometimes it'd be like that for real. But I love wounded warrior. It's just got a special place in my heart. You know what I mean? And I just flung this card all the way over here. Yeah, this is someone who would do it anyway. But again, it's because it was almost never intended to be a main hit big or whatever. Like the Five of Wands behind this Eight of Wands, it's like, it feels like there are still going to be things that someone would like learn. Maybe there are some professional, like industrial tips and tricks, like in the industry, people do this and that. And without being in the industry, you wouldn't necessarily like know those things. But like, it feels like you can learn. And it feels like learning wouldn't necessarily be that big of a deal. Like it feels like it would be someone that's like, oh, like we know that we just hired you off the street. We know that you haven't formally like worked for a magazine or whatever before. So we're not necessarily expecting you to know everything that you're going to learn while you're here. But as long as you're open to learning, and you would be because of how the cards play out. If you're not, then I guess this one don't resonate for you. As long as you're open to learning and overcoming these challenges, that's like being self-sufficient, that's sitting well financially. And then right behind that is the Ten of Cups, is the fulfillment. And then behind that is the moon. I feel like the moon is behind this because it was something that was possible for you, but you didn't necessarily know it at the start. Like you would have never, ever, ever guessed that something would have turned out this way, type of thing. But like you're happy and you're fulfilled, and you may ultimately end up glad that you took this side branching path over whatever it is that you were already doing. So, because you don't need a degree to be an influencer, or not an influencer, you don't need a degree to be a content creator. I don't know if he's an influencer. I'm sure there's someone who's watched one of his videos that have bought one car over another or used whatever kind of mod. Girl, I don't know. I mean, honestly, he would probably influence me because I don't know anything about cars. I should count these again. Because look how full. This looks so full for me to be missing cards. And I can never. It's like when I count them, I'm short. But when I try to find the card, I can't see what's missing. Anyway, they'll communicate what they need to. So, oh snap! Oh snap! Well, I'm glad y'all are in a. I'm putting these cards in face down. Oh my gosh! I'm glad that like you were able to do that. To let her pursue that rather than being like, I don't know. And I hope that everything, like the card comes up, hey, maybe she'll fix it up. Taming the wind in a circle. Oh, I don't think I mentioned. So when I was looking at Taming the Wind, the King of Wands, and stuff like that, and then I look at King of Cups immediately to the side of it. It's like there is an energy, there is a force, there is an aspect of the divine behind the wind. There's an aspect of the divine under the waters. There's an aspect of the divine that lives in the earth. Like those parts, pieces of the creation also like are imbued with some aspect of the divine. So taming and mastery may not necessarily look like dominion and subjugation and control. It may not. It might, I don't know. But it may not. The staff, thunder in the middle world. I'm not going to take these, but there you go. The staff, thunder in the middle world. Bottom of the deck is the beloved. Cool. We're going to say a 2-card maximum, please. I don't know. It just didn't feel like the mystical shaman and the beloved. Okay. All right. Final card, please. Please. All right. I'm going to give it 2 more. If I don't get anything, I will move on to the next deck. The Journey. The Journey. Oh, who was that? Earth. The Earth Journey. Earth Journey. Bottom of the deck is the Serpent. Bottom of the deck is the Serpent. The Serpent and the Earth Journey. The Journey. We just talked about the Journey. Oh, I just mentioned how in the Energy Oracle cards, like the journey came out and walking away came out, and they were both heading in the same direction, doing the same thing. It was a matter of perspective. A whole lot of Earth is about perspective. A lot of Earth. And a whole lot of the journey is about perspective. For some reason, I'm feeling like a 2-for-1 type of energy. Meaning, it's almost like if someone were to reflect back on their journey from where they are now as who they are now, it's almost like you would see stuff that you didn't catch while you were going through it. Now, coming off of that 7 of Pentacles under the moon, it's very like if you're confronted with a choice or a decision, or if you're put in a position or situation, it's almost like on one hand, you may be able to reflect back and think of times where you've been in a similar position or situation before, and where you like it worked out better than you would have imagined or better than you would have thought. But this almost, it's almost like looking back on your life and seeing the hand of the divine, but seeing the hand of the divine in ways that you didn't see when you were actively going through it. Like there are times where we're going through something and we can recognize a miracle when it comes in. But this is like looking back and seeing something in ways that you didn't see it before. Because it's like it's looking at the earth and seeing a face. When I was literally just like, there's an aspect of the divine behind the wind, behind the water, behind earth. And because there are aspects of the divine within those, taming and mastery may not look like dominion and control. I don't know. Or just like when it comes to other people, or just external things in general. It's not necessarily control games. So I guess it'd be good for us to check our entitlement whenever we do seek whatever, lest we be played for fools. This is very hindsight, foresight with the serpent. This is almost like both hindsight and foresight. So I don't know if someone is gonna like, so if you go back to a previous point in your journey, and either you project into the future from then as you were then, or you project or you utilize your knowing that you have now to come up with a projection, it feels like something still won't line up. And that's like this hindsight, foresight. To apply foresight in hindsight, just the arrow. $29, $17, $46, and $3. Let's get one more. One more split. The Time Master, number 57. I like the Time Master here. This is giving me integral energy again, like small changes, small observable windows. If you take a week and look at it day by day by day, it may look a little different, or you may notice some different things than if you were to look at it hour by hour, that same week, hour by hour, minute by minute, second by second. And it feels like the Time Master is able to account for growth in some way. Or potentials of growth. Now the serpent is also coiled, so of course things aren't linear. Like I feel like the point is that we won't necessarily be able to project where we're going to be or predict how certain things would have turned out. But in hindsight, we can catch a whole bunch of things that while we were going through it, maybe they weren't important, or maybe they were less important, or maybe something else was just more pressing at the time. And so we were more focused on that. It's like when you watch a thriller movie or when you watch a movie with a plot twist, if it gets you and then you rewatch the movie and you see all of the signs, now that you know what you're looking for, or now that you know what you know where to read into certain things, or you know when certain things were being communicated, but in a way that it's like you only would have got it if you like knew. Like I watched that movie about parallel. I watched Everything Everywhere All at Once was about parallel universes, realities, lives, and then I watched anime movie last night, and it dealt with twin worlds that are connected, and so there are people who exist on both sides, and their lives are connected. Their lives are linked. But in the beginning of the movie, there's a basketball game, and I caught it. I caught it in the beginning of the movie, but I didn't know because it was literally the beginning of the movie. There were two basketball teams, and in the same shot, you see two player number fours. Like they were both player number four on their respective teams. And then after I finished the movie, and then after a minute, I was like, oh, like they showed in the beginning of the movie. And one of the player number fours was a main character. I was like, wow, they had two player number fours. Like, oh, I gotta maybe something like that. I don't know. Who was that? Well, this is the sun, number 53. It almost felt like I ejected a card from the deck. Maybe not. No. Okay. And this may be some silent force. Because I'm just like looking at Earth and how it's like the face emerges from the trees and the whatever. Like that one movie that I didn't watch because I don't watch those kinds of movies. But they're like, oh yeah, there's a face in the trees at this point. There was a face at Kew Gardens that I took a picture of it, and I was on the phone with my number one fan the other day in a video call, and I set that as the background. Okay, well, we still have the Waddle Known archetypes. The temple and the mountain temple, up the mountain. The temple and the mountain, the starborn, the temple. This is 39 and 3. 39 is a 3. All right, final archetype from the a lot of known archetypes deck, please. Oh, there we go. I see the tier. Is it the tier or is it the tab? Number 52 and number 7. We got Liibii. Ooh, the poet. Bottom of the deck is the comic, number 26. Oh, okay, yeah. This is the yin yang type thing, maybe. Because we've just seen the poet as the one that holds the light, the one who has tamed the wind. But then there's this tier. And I was like, is it the tier or is it the tear? Because it's like that, when you're watching, this is the clue. This was the thing. The thing that somebody did where it's like, oh my gosh, they were the Clark Kent was Superman the whole time. There's no way for someone to go from one side of the world to the other side of the world in literally 2 seconds. And Clark Kent did it every other day. We just thought that he had a really fast car. We didn't know he was flying at the speed of light. I don't know. But there's gold inside of the tier. And this is giving me emeralds, greens and golds. I don't know. Isn't emerald a Taurus birthstone? Is it May? Excuse me. Sorry. Emerald birthstone. Emerald. May. It is associated with May. So yes. What's associated with May? The symbol of rebirth. LOL. Listen to this. This is Wikipedia. No, this is AmericanGemSociety.org. This is the little blurb that pops up. Emerald, as the birthstone for May, the emerald, a symbol of rebirth, is believed to grant the owner foresight, good fortune, and youth. Peep that foresight when it was this foresight hindsight that the green serpent was giving. Now, what's interesting is the stone that was a gem, and the more recent way that I've seen it was jade. Jade is another green stone. It's not emerald. Let's see, jade versus emerald. In general, emerald gemstones convey a more vivid green hue, partly due to their heightened transparency. Jade stone is more opaque, presenting more muted tones. The former usually contain inclusions which are trapped gas bubbles, liquids, or other minerals that cloud the emerald's appearance. So wait. Oh, different minerals. Okay. There are 2 different minerals that make up jade. This is interesting. A diamond is the hardest known material. So this is on the more results. Is jade the most powerful gem? A diamond is the hardest known material, but if I hit a big piece with a hammer, it will shatter. Jade is not the hardest material, but it's very durable. That means it's nearly impossible to break. So because of that, she's giving endurance. She's giving the wounded warrior is just as amazing as the wounded warrior. And we all had our moments in the well, I guess we don't all have those moments and points in time, but sometimes some of us do. See, this is like, and oh look. I'm looking at the green that's a part of the tier in this comic. I mean, it's orange, yellow, and green, but it's mostly green. The vessel is behind the comic. See, this is someone, the vision is behind the vessel. The underworld is behind the vision. The vision, the vessel, the comic. The comic is a vessel, but they're not. They're like in disguise, like sleeper agent type energy. Doesn't necessarily have to be. Like comic may not even necessarily know that they are a vessel. So I guess yeah, kind of sort of sleeper agent energy. The vessel is number 69, which is part of the glyph for Cancer, and Cancer energy has been all over the place. Why? I don't know. I've never asked. I don't think I will. I might. Maybe not. Like, there's something. This is, and it's almost like sleeper cell agent, but this is someone. Did I not already say that? Yeah, because I gave the metaphor of Clark Kent getting from A to B in 2 seconds. Like, this is someone who always has been whoever they are. And it's because of the tier and the endurance of this. It's almost like when times got rough, or in certain situations in the past, this holding the light, taming the wind behavior was exhibited. She's almost reading like piezoelectric, meaning it produces light or sound or something under pressure. Because when someone was under pressure, we saw vestiges, if that's the word. We saw vestiges, attributes. We saw attributes of poet type energy. And so we know that it's in there. Behind this crying cat. Now, that was a part of the medicine wheel. This is like house cat. That was big cat energy. Even in that show that I watched yesterday, the one with the like parallel whatever, the princess in that show was a vessel for incredibly vast magical power that I don't I don't think she knew she had it. She wasn't using it. I can tell you that much. She didn't know how to tap into it. Somebody recognized that within her. She was protected. She was basically Balder. I almost said Loki. She was basically Balder, where she had a divine gift or something that protected her from literally everything. So, in order to curse the princess, they went into the other world and they injured the other version of her. And because their lives are linked and connected, when she was stabbed with the cursed blade on one side, she was cursed on the other side. Now, yeah, she was a vessel for that power. Oh, she was just a vessel. Okay. I'm like, why am I talking about her? Because she was a vessel. And the vessel is here with the comment. Like, there's something, again, it's like this hindsight energy where it's like if you were to look back, you would see moments where it was like, what? What? It makes me think of Now You See It, the Disney Channel original movie, where he finds out that he's like a magician or that magic is real. And he was like, yeah, one time when I was 7 years old, I was looking at this skateboard in the window of a shop. And then the next thing I know, it was under my feet. Like, and he didn't steal it. Okay. He magicked the skateboard. He stole it with magic. No. He replicated the skateboard with magic, and it was completely legal and crime free. I don't know. But it's one of those, like, when you look back, you see it types of things. Ooh, that was immediate. Oh, what are you? This is 4 cards. The bestower came out at the top again. The bestower of what? Bestows what? That's just the one that shows up when the forest parts and you see something that you ain't saw before. That's because of the 4-4. That's what made me think of it. Because when I used this booster pack, it was 4 days and 4 something else. I was like, what's this 4-4 energy? And when I saw player 4 and player 4 like side by side on different teams, I was like, oh, that's giving me that 4-4 energy. And now the bestower is here again. What does it mean? What does it mean? I don't know. It's with the far traveler, Dennick, the pious apparition, and the mountain. From the pious apprentice to the pious apparition. This is the one who is faithful and true. Like this, Dennick was the uncorruptible. Okay. Dennick was the uncorruptible apprentice, which made Dennick a problem because somebody was doing some real unsavory, shady, seedy type stuff. And Dennick was a goody goody two shoes, and so Dennick had to be taken care of. But even in death, Dennick is still pious. But we see Dennick as an apparition. And then we have the mountain and the far traveler. For some reason, this doesn't feel like Dennick is dead. This feels like this is a shade of Dennick, a vision of Dennick. It's been 3 hours and 20 minutes. This is a vision of Dennick that someone has before they actually meet Dennick. That's what this feels like. So there was the hindsight in the last deck. How was this? Face down, all by itself. There was the hindsight in the last deck. This one is a little bit more foresight. Maybe someone is Dennick and they get a vision of their future. And their journey, their life takes them all over the place. Doesn't even necessarily have to be geographically. It could be mentally, emotionally, internally, spiritually, whateverly. See, the thing about Dinnick is that Dinnick's nature is true. Bottom of the Magic the Gathering deck is Asterion, who came out recently, who I'm forgettable. Sorry, but I don't know. And then face down over here, Slaughter the Strong. Oh my gosh. It was a big day for the Gravediggers at Cliffside Cemetery. Oof. I don't necessarily like that. Let's get one more. Patrick will read anything. He sure will. Magic the Gathering cards, boy. They got flavor text, girl. Just use your imagination. Use your intuition and discernment and a little bit of your imagination. Just like have an open mind, and then the picture will complete and then confirm itself. It would be validated. Now, somebody just slid over, and it's a card that has a back. So I'm going to look for the card backs because some of these cards are double-sided. It's this one. Next to Gale the Waterdeep Prodigy. Interesting. Saravak Deathbringer. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Saravak Deathbringer with Slaughter the Strong. Let's just put I'm like, let's just put these cards away. Shouldn't even got up on the card. This could be, it's just like the energy of someone who's gone through an experience that it's one of those things that like no one should go through. Or at the very least, it was something that seems very unfair because of Slaughter the Strong, or something that caught somebody completely off guard, completely blindsided for like because of the motivations or ulterior motives of another. Slaughter the Strong and Saravak Deathbringer. Now, this is like someone who isn't made, someone whose nature isn't changed because of what they've been through. Like, even though they went through that, they emerge on the other side, still pious. Again, like very like Job almost in nature. Like, even though the circumstance was unexpected, wildly unfair, or whatever, it didn't cause someone to doubt, question, or to live their life in a way that was any different than how they were living it before. They were pious before it happened. They're still pious. The bestower is coming to like pay back on that karma. Like, that's justice that's coming for someone who went through something that was unjust. To seek one's own justice, or to seek justice oneself, or to balance the scales oneself, is to void almost in certain ways anything that karma is responsible for. Like like when we take justice into our own hands, that's us literally taking justice into our own hands. So if the scales don't balance somewhere else or in any other kind of way, the scales are no longer responsible for balancing because we have taken justice into our own hands, and we can only do so much. So sometimes it's wiser to just let things play themselves out. Because if we can't justice ourselves a big fat karmic payout, then it's a question of if it's worth it or not. Sometimes things happen to us that we don't deserve, but then we as people can turn around and do things to other people that they don't deserve because of how we were hurt. And then we still expect some kind of retribution or whatever. Whatever that retribution was voided. Hypothetically, when we go and enact the exact same thing, but when we don't void that and we get that big fat karmic payout, that's the bestower here. Someone who's come a long way from that. And it's not like the mountains are here. Challenging beyond challenging, difficult beyond difficult, dark beyond dark. But still someone remained pious. Still someone didn't compromise what is not for them to compromise. And someone's come a long way. And again, the bestower is here. Something is here to balance something out. And it seems like it's from a while ago. Maybe something's been happening for far too long. And maybe somebody was like, oh, it'll never be whatever. But just when you give up hope, karma comes with that big fat publishers clearinghouse check. You are entitled to whatever. Call 1-888 whatever if you have been through something and you have a settlement, class action lawsuit. I don't know. Anyway. All right. 3.5 hours later. I hope you all have an amazing whatever whenever you see this. I hope you're acting aligned to make all that you wish to experience your reality. Thank you, Janelle and Kirsty, for stopping by. And I hope you, I don't want to necessarily say caution. I guess wisdom. I hope you have wisdom in pursuing whatever it is that you're pursuing. And a healthy intuition and discernment. And a knowing that when it's time for you to see, witness, know, experience, come upon whatever, you will. And a little bit of foresight and a little bit of hindsight if you need it. Hindsight when you need it, foresight when you need it, and an openness to living life regardless, I guess. I don't know. All right, bye. Maybe I will open that last pack someday. Maybe tomorrow.